We are here. We are here. I'm excited in the seat. You gotta understand, I'm excited on a whole nother level because I've been on a 5-day vacation. B Visuals has been on a 5-day vacation as well. I'm talking about your boy been working on himself. That's right, with his queen. Doing everything I need to do to get where I need to be. But that's neither here nor there. We are here. We are here. We are here with yet another episode of the one and only John OJO, we say, Unselfish Behavior Podcast. We have a very, very, very special guest today in the building. He goes by the name of John OJO. Welcome to the show, my brother.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Welcome to the show.
Appreciate it.
Now, John OJO, starting off, we always like to say this is a guest-based podcast, right? So we like to have guests on, come on, inspire people through their testimony, through their stories, through their perspectives of life. So this interview is going to take a lot of different angles. But before we get into anything, this conversation rather, we want to ask you, what do you stand for? What are you about? Who are you? What do you do? Just for the people who don't know you. Right, go ahead, give them a little context.
All right, so like my man King Q said, John OJO, I have a brand called Little Africa. It's been in operation for a solid year now. I also do wholesale distribution. I have a company called By Any Means Distribution where I represent 6 clothing brands and pretty much get them into boutiques, different retail spaces, online shops. And ultimately, I'm just a young entrepreneur based out of LA, just really trying to make it happen. I'm really trying to make it happen in regards to the desires and the passions that I like. So fashion is one of them. Having to get the gab and relationship building is another one. So that's what correlates to the wholesale opportunities that I create for other brands. But ultimately, I'm just about work, man. Putting in the work, man.
Love it. It's funny because that was like the main topic that we spoke about on the phone when we first had a conversation. You spoke a lot about the work, which we'll get into. But obviously, I want you to get into more context about what Little Africa is. What does that stand for? How did you come up with the idea? How long has it been into play?
So it's been around for a solid year now. I literally just hit my 1-year mark.
Congrats.
I launched the brand.
Yeah,
I appreciate you.
You know
I launched the brand last year, May 5th. Okay. So Cinco de Mayo is my
anniversary.
Yeah, anniversary.
I love it.
Yeah. So
yes, sir.
This year, May 5th, it was 1 year for me. And the brand Little Africa is literally an acronym for Los Angeles.
Okay.
So Little Africa.
Yes, sir. LA. Come on now.
Yeah. So for me, born and raised in LA all 29 years. I grew up on the east side in Huntington Park. So one thing about LA is a cultural melting pot. Yeah. You know, on the east side of LA, you have predominantly Hispanic culture. Yes, so for this Homeboy Heights, you go further up. In LA as well, there's pockets of the city that encompass that culture and what that culture represents. So you have Little Ethiopia, Little Tokyo, Little Armenia. Yeah. Chinatown. Yeah. You know, you have these pockets in LA. For us, it would be the Crenshaw area, I would assume.
Right, Leimert Park.
Yeah, Leimert Park would be our hub. Yeah. And in those hubs, you have everything that correlates to that culture, whether it's food, fashion, music, literature, home goods, you know, toiletries, whatever the situation is.
Yes, sir.
So for me, creating Little Africa, being born and raised in LA, but being first generation Nigerian American, I always had a duality between being in South Central LA, but also my father being from Nigeria. I'd be in LA in a Nigerian culture, though. The church I would go to, the kids I would play with, you know, his friends, his relationships. You know, my father speaks Europe, but he speaks 2 languages. So I grew up in a dual language household as well, too. So
yes, sir.
For me, what Little Africa is just encompassing my upbringing, but through the perspective of the South Central lens. Because I haven't had the opportunity to go to Nigeria yet. Fingers crossed next year. I'll be out there with my dad. But it's literally just telling what LA is to me through my perspective growing up, first generation Nigerian American, but also showing the similarities between Nigeria and Western culture in regards to Black culture. It all comes together. So like Afrobeat, are you familiar with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So like my father, growing up, he used to play a lot of Fela Kunta. So like Fela Kunta is like, you know, that's like the god of Afrobeat.
Big time.
So like Fela Kunta is just as influential as a James Brown.
Got you.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Culturally, they're on 2 different spectrums, but at the end of the day, what they represent for Nigerian Americans or Nigerians, African American, it all correlates. So with Little Africa, that's what I'm here to do, show the correlation between cultures through the perspective of my upbringing.
How important is it for you to give your own personal perspective of the city of LA? Because I think that LA has a lot of different judgments and perspectives that come with it. We spoke briefly about just us not even really feeling like people north of the 405 is even part of LA. You from South Central, born and raised. what are some things that you've experienced in being born and raised in LA in regards to like you, like how influential, here's the question. How much did LA culture have to do with you actually putting together a brand that gives LA its perspective? So I guess you're trying to give LA a perspective through your lens. I'm asking, how did your influence through you being born and raised in LA, how did that have to do with you starting your brand at all? Does that make sense? I'm trying to word the question, but basically the acronym, the words Little Africa, it's obviously LA is in that. You being born and raised in LA, how did being born and raised in LA, how did that influence you wanting to start a brand that represents LA? That's the question.
So, I don't want to get all sad, but it's just like Nip. You think about a Nip, bro. Or you think about, so for me, man, 16 years old, like I spent a lot of time like on Fairfax, Melrose, La Brea and shit, you know what I'm saying? Like going to the stores. And those stores, what they do, the brand owners of those stores, they are not necessarily from Los Angeles, but what they do is they set up shop in LA and they take certain SKUs from LA culture, whether it be gang culture, whether it be the hip hop scene, whatever it is, and they encompass that into their clothing brand.
I see.
So that in a sense, they kind of appropriate a LA culture through their lens.
Right.
So it's like for me,
and they're not even from the city.
They're not even from the city.
That's crazy. I never thought about that. That's
born
real.
and raised.
That's real.
But in context, you think about a Nip with Crenshaw.
Yeah.
He is from the city. He is the city.
There we go. I see where you're going.
And the synergy behind his brand represents exactly who he is, where he grew up, and everything he's looking to do moving forward. The marathon continues.
Right.
So when you think about my brand, Little Africa, it's like, Nike, just do it. Crenshaw, the marathon continues.
Yeah.
Little Africa, Soul Made Global. So the Soul Made Global aspect of that is me showing the versatility of Africa's the biggest continent on the globe.
Right.
Black people, we're infectious wherever we go. Our culture, no matter where we go, like I literally just came back from Japan, Black culture is everywhere out there. It's everything
That's
out
crazy,
there.
Bro.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like we're global people.
Yeah.
So it's just like, think about what Crenshaw did in the grand scheme of things, and after his demise, you see the reception it has, how many people it brought to the store.
Right.
We're global. We're infectious everywhere we go. So LA is just like that too. LA is a city that is known all over the world.
That's real.
Wherever, no matter where you go in the world.
You see a Laker jersey every damn where you go.
You know what I'm saying?
That's real. That's facts.
If you go anywhere in the world and you're like, I'm out here from LA, people will light up. Oh my
I'm
God. Like,
telling
what?
you.
I'm sure you've experienced
New York,
as well.
Bro, shit, just simply New York. And that's local. That's in the States.
You know what I'm saying?
Went out there, bro, this past August. 6 days, and bro, right when I said I was from LA, right? Obviously, I'm a spoken word artist. I mentioned that earlier, but bro, I go out there to perform. Right when I say I'm from LA, bro, the crowd go wow. So you absolutely right. I can only imagine on a more global scale, just the facade that LA holds, right? And I think that's very important for us to be able to tell our own truths and our own stories through our art, through our testimony, through our brands, right? And I think that's what it's all about for me. So
especially being local boys too.
Absolutely.
Because it's like you said, south of the 10. Like I feel anybody living south of the 10, you're the backbone of anything north of the 10.
Say that one more time because they may combat you for that.
Yeah, you know
what
I'm saying?
Actually in agreement with my main man, so I need you to say that one more time.
So like south of the 10, we're the backbone of anything north of the 10.
That's right.
So, me growing up in Huntington Park, that's predominantly Hispanic culture. The way you see Hispanics in LA work and the jobs that they take on, they're the jobs that, the average person
nobody wants to do.
No one wants to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing for blacks in a sense. Like we take on those certain jobs, those security jobs, those UPS, USPS, trash man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We do those jobs, and those are the things that keep the city running. You know what I'm saying? And it's like without us, what will LA be? What will Hollywood be?
That's so funny when you say that. I think about the movie Titanic, and they have that scene where all the cats is down there with the fire and shoveling that shit. And then layers up, you see all the rich folks up there having the benefits and enjoying the luxuries of their hard work. So they're the backbone. I love that. I want to talk about family though. And families are always an interesting topic for me because when I first started my journey, I got a lot of negative feedback from my family. And what that showed me was actually good. It inspired me to keep going because once my family and my mom's, and I got great folks, man, that support me and my family. So I don't ever want to, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm bashing my family, but I'm just speaking truth. When I first started my journey, I got a lot of negative feedback from my family about why would you quit your 9-to-5 job to go and be a full-time influencer? And they didn't understand the overall mission, and it's not their job to. But I want to ask you, how important is it to have immediate family? I'm talking about mom, dad, sisters, brothers supporting what you do, or is it important at all?
You know, so my mom's side is a lot. Like my mom, born and raised South Central LA her whole life. Unfortunately, she passed in 2003. So, you know, but she also grew up she didn't have a solid family unit. Grew up in like foster care, so on. And my father, being from Nigeria, you know, he came out here in 85. So like he didn't have his mom and dad, grew up with his grandparents type situation. So it's like neither my mom or dad really came from a solid family unit.
Gotcha.
So I feel like, you know, generational curses and shit like that. I feel like certain things subconsciously play into how you raise your kids if you didn't have that.
Yeah.
So like I had family growing up, but it wasn't to the point where, you know, we're doing family reunions and stuff like that. So it's just like, for me, you know, being 29 now, family is important, but it doesn't necessarily determine my work ethic. Like I got to get it just because I got to get it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and all my siblings are all doing their own thing. So it's literally like we're just kind of, you know, we're all doing our own thing. But in the grand scheme of things, family is the thing that's propelling me to keep doing what I'm doing, because I know as I continue to move forward, I want to be able to establish a solid foundation for my own family. You know what I mean? Absolutely. So it's more so a longing of what I don't have that's keeping me going in regards to a family sense, because I'm not getting that from my core family, you know? And it's all good because it is what it is.
Absolutely.
Like, you know?
Now, John, I'm super big on people have to have a very strong why for why they do what they do. And if you don't, then I'm one to believe that it's very easy to get you off course and unfocused or discouraged on your mission, right? Talk to me a little bit about how important is it I want to know, two-part question. What is your why? Why do you do what you do? What keeps you going? What makes you want to work so hard? Is it legacy? Is it whatever the case may be, right? And also, who instilled those qualities in you to have that type of work ethic? I know we spoke about it briefly on the phone when we first spoke. The work ethic, I want you to touch on that, and I want you to also talk about your why. Why do you do what you do?
Well, I definitely do what I do. Just being from the city, you don't really get too much representation. Like even for you, I'm sure. Yeah. Like, was there an interviewer or, you know, someone growing up that you like a Johnny Carson? You know, we got I see what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? Did you have a Johnny Carson growing up where it's like, man, I'm trying to be like that when I grow up? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That looked like you though. Did you really have that?
No, we didn't have that in the inner city.
So it's just like for us, like we had people who were, you know, fashion designers and whatnot like that, but they weren't tangible. They weren't really
touchable.
People.
They felt so far away,
yo. And honestly, the information that they had to do what they didn't even seem like something we could really come into.
That's facts. That's real.
Like, so it's just like I have conversations like that with the homies now. It's like, yo, look at us. Like, we're just making clothes now. Yeah. Yo, if we were like 18 years old back in the days, it would have been like, yo, how do I even start that?
Yeah, that's real.
You know, now it's like, well, we find ourselves doing what it is that we're doing just to be doing it, and it's dope. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the why for me, man, is just representation.
I love it.
You know what I'm saying? I just want people to be able to know, you know, me, no college degree, barely graduated high school. Like I had to do the whole night school shit and all that. You know what I'm saying? Summer school, all type shit. Yep. So it's like, yo, like you don't necessarily have to have it all figured out when you're, you know, 17, 18 years old. But if you know there's something that you truly have a desire or passion for, find a way to hone that craft, put your time into it. Yeah. You know, get your network up, because a lot of this comes with network. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Like, you know, we were discussing prior to Aaron, like, you know, the relationships you were able to build, 11-year-long relationships you were able to build to get you to where you're at now. And it's like, without that relationship, you would have been able to make it happen, but
I wouldn't be right here right now.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, meeting people is important, and I feel like that's the skill people don't really focus on. You know what I'm saying? You got to be a chameleon in a lot of situations to know how to conversate with people who may not come from where you're coming, just to get the common goal
there
done.
We go. I love that. I love that. That's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about podcasting now. And I've always been a conversationalist. I've always been somebody that's interested in other perspectives. But I'm not going to lie, a few years back, I wasn't the type of person to have a conversation with somebody who had a different perspective of me, right? So whether it was belief system, whether it was political view, whether it was sexual preference, I'm just keeping it 100 with you. Probably about 3-4 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to be where I'm at right now and be able to literally speak to people from all walks of life. And I realized, bro, it's so important to give people the platform to share their perspective and to share their stories. We spoke about it from an NBA level before we aired as well, and them putting together different platforms so where they're able to voice who they are themselves. Yep. And I think we live in a world to where it's very easy to look at people and to judge them based off how they look, how they talk, how they dress, how they act. And it's like, no, you don't know that man. You don't know that woman. You don't know their story. You don't know what they've sacrificed. You don't know if they've sacrificed, so on and so forth. So I think these platforms are very important. I want to touch on something that we also briefly spoke about before we aired, and that was the importance and the influence of your father, right? I know that he had a lot to do with the man that you are today. And I think that we don't have enough young black men, especially young black entrepreneurs, who share that side of the story. It's very important to be able to share, a black man molded me and shaped me and instilled positive values in me. I don't think we hear enough of that.
No, we don't.
Jump into that for a little bit for me in regards to your father and his influence on the man you are today.
Well, when you think about when I think about my pops, so like, let's keep it real. Nigeria is a third world country.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? My dad was born in 51, 52.
Yeah.
So it's like, Nigeria got independence in 61.
Yeah.
So my dad lived 10 years of his life under rulership, I believe British colonialism at the time. And man, I hope I don't shoot myself in the foot, dropping knowledge like that. And it's
good shit.
Niggas do their Google. It's
man, solid. Niggas better not be Googling my boy John OJO, nigga.
But check it. So it's just I think about what my dad did to come to America. Okay, he came out here in 85, he was in his 30s.
Yeah.
I'm about to be 30 next year. So it's just to have that type of mindset, you leave a place you're familiar with, third world country, you don't know anybody out here who could just put you up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The type of courage that takes to just do that.
Yeah.
And at the time when he did that, he already had 2 kids in Nigeria, my older brother and sister.
Yeah.
So he came out here, met my mom, had me and my brother. But to be able to establish a foundation for himself out here and then also bring his own kids out here and have them in that foundation, to me it's my father is the first entrepreneur I've ever met. Because it's it takes a certain type of willpower to just get up, jump ship, and figure it out somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
So it's seeing that and knowing that, and at the end of the day, my last name wouldn't be Ojo if it wasn't for my father. You know what I'm saying?
Dope ass last name, by the way.
Appreciate that.
I gotta make sure I show love.
I appreciate that. So it's for me, I wouldn't have the opportunity to have a brand called Little Africa if it wasn't for my father.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just he's very important. He's very influential in regards to what I'm doing, and just honestly, man, he's in his late 60s now, and he still has the same work ethic. A lot of the shit he told me as a kid still embedded into my my subconscious to this day. Get a good job because you like nice things. You got to be able to afford nice things. You got to work for it. Never put yourself in a position where you're dependent on anybody. Get it done yourself. You know what I'm saying? Never rely on the help or the assistance of anyone to get what it is that you need to get done.
Put that work in.
Put the
so
work
your
in.
work ethic came from Pops.
Yeah,
directly from Pops.
I mean, I've seen my dad take major L's in his life, lose good county jobs, bounce back, but never went out looking sad. You know what I'm saying? Never just shit out on his luck and just, coming home, taking it out on us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
just
I'm big on that.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm big on that. Understanding what an L is, and it's a lesson and not a loss. People run from taking L's. People run from failure, and they don't understand that's the molding process.
Yeah, bro.
And so for me, that perspective didn't come to me, bro, keeping it 100, until 2 years ago when I was homeless, bro. I was homeless half of 2017 and all of 2018, beginning to end. And that right there was so needed for me. It was so needed for me. I wasn't this version of myself before the homelessness. So when I was homeless, it taught me perspective. It taught me faith on a whole nother level. You think you got faith. There's so many people out here that's talking about they got faith just because they clap their hands on Sundays. No, sir. What have you been through? How have your faith been tested? You can't say you have faith if you've never been tested. You can't say you have faith if you're constantly running from discomfort. And so for me, it's very important, bro, to just embrace the L's. For me, that was an L. That was my rock bottom, literally. But it wasn't a loss, it was a lesson. And I embraced it in order to become this version of me. How important is it for you? And I want you to kind of go a little deep now. I want you to kind of, experience some transparency in your story and allowing people to just kind of see what's under it on a deeper level. Talk a little bit about your losses. Talk about adversity that you've had to go through. Talk about the sacrifices that it's taken. You talked a lot about your dad taking L's and coming back and failing again and bounce back. Like, how important is that process for you? And talk about some personal testimony to where you've experienced it yourself.
You just spoke on discomfort, and like this year, like, I'm all about work. So that means I like having a job too.
Yes, sir.
You get what I'm saying?
So talk about it.
I was working with a company earlier this year in June. They let me go. So it's like I was with that company 2.5 years, salary, shit's solid. You feel what I'm saying? But it's like once they let me go, it's like that uncomfortable, space. Like it's hard to get into that, but honestly, it's one of the most refining times of like yourself and self-development. You know what I'm saying?
Because you about to what you made of.
Yeah,
that's that moment
really
right
gonna
there.
Test you.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
made
saying?
Of.
Like, so it's just like how you gonna let that L turn into a loss or a lesson?
That's right.
You feel me? So it's just like earlier this year, my job let me go. So that's honestly what kind of forced me more so into just really being my own entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And it's like as I'm getting older too, I'm realizing our parents or relatives back in the days, they didn't really have any choice when it came to employment.
Facts.
They had to work.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like we really have, the world is our oyster at this point, bro. We could really find ourselves getting into anything that we want. So for me right now, my uncomfortable space that I'm in right now is me figuring out how to be my own true entrepreneur. And that came through the adversity of me losing my job. But even further than that, it's like, like growing up, LA, LA schools, bro.
Come on now.
So it's like I went to Warren Lane, I went to Highland, I went to Kelso. Shit, man. So it's like,
oh, you went to Kelso? Huh?
Yeah, I went to Kelso.
I work at Kelso, big dog.
Yeah. So like, bro, let me keep it real. Like when I was at Kelso, right? So like, I used to go to school in Westwood. Moms used to bust us out.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too. Parents, I'll tell you this: never keep your kids from experiencing other kids that don't come from where they come from.
There we go.
Because
there we go.
Those moments of like your child's early adolescence when they're around unfamiliarity is what shapes them and gives them more an idea
there we go.
Of what they could be as they get older.
Allow your kids to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, be uncomfortable, yo. Like I was living in Huntington Park getting bussed out to Westwood. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to school with Jewish kids, Asian kids, all type of kids. You know what I'm saying?
There we go.
But it's like those early years really helped mold me in regards to like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely.
Like,
it broadens your spectrum, bro.
Yeah, it broadens your spectrum.
Yes,
so it's like, I personally feel you should give your kids that early on so that as they're coming into themselves, junior high, high school, you could put them back into maybe more of like a public school that's around where you grow up so they could have that balance.
Yeah.
Because it's taking it back to being able to know how to throw yourself into different settings and how to articulate yourself. You don't learn that from being around like-minded individuals. Facts. You got to get around people, you got to get around people who don't come from where you come from, to really understand how to maneuver yourself.
Yes, sir.
All right, but as I digress, LA schools, for me, elementary was tough because like niggas was in like special ed classes and shit like that. That shit really fucked with my confidence, self-confidence growing up in regards to how much I felt I was able to do and accomplish. So a lot of what I do in regards to what I'm doing now is knowing like, okay, I'm not that same kid I was when I was like 7, 8 years old.
You're not that person.
Yeah, getting called retarded and shit like that. Like kids would be kids. You don't know no better and shit.
That's real.
But man, just knowing like, you feel me, like you don't have to have this grandioso degree or all the money in the world to really figure out a hustle and find your way into that and really hone on that craft. And another adversity too is like after high school, I spent like 4 or 5 years in this church experience that really kept me from looking at the things that I naturally gravitated towards because I would put a label on it as worldly or I can't partake in that because it's not of God. And
if you don't mind me asking, what was the church?
It was a Church of God in Christ.
Okay, and what was the experience?
To be honest, like...
See, I'm going there. You see, I'm that type of cat. I got to,
so
talk to me about that.
Like, the experience coming into it, because you're just wide-eyed, you're just there because you're searching. You're searching. You know what I'm saying? I was going through a transition, like, after high school. No one wasn't going to college. Big weed smoker. Just kind of like bullshitting. You know what I'm saying? They really know what I was getting myself into. So, the experience started off really well, but it's not up until you realize what it is that you're in and the conditioning methods that go into keeping people in a repetitive cycle of dependency, not really self-reliance, you know?
Yeah.
It's not up until, you know, that blinder is off that you really see like, yo, I've been doing the same shit for 4 fucking years and I've gotten nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm over here praising God and this, that, and the other, but it's like life-wise, let me do a life check. How much have I progressed from the boy that I was when I came in here into where I'm at now?
Not much progress. Gotcha.
Yeah, I know some Bible scriptures. I could,
Gotcha.
you know what I'm saying? I could lead some friends into church and stuff like that, but it's just like, me, myself, what am I coming into?
I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
So how important, because when you said that, I just thought about the school analogy that you gave earlier in regards to you having, allowing your kids to go through different experiences in schools. How important is it to now, as an adult, as a 29-year-old man, to have different experiences within religions and perspectives with God and universal law?
It's crazy, bro.
Things?
Like, for me, dude, so spiritualism is something that I feel like us as blacks, we always have a sense of spiritualism because it's just like the black church is a whole thing.
Yes, sir.
And at some point in our lives, we've been around it.
Right.
But in regards to understanding what it is on a bigger scale in regards to self, I've been like this year, man, my big bro, because I read a lot too. And when it comes to like, you know, books in regards to the civil rights time and whatnot like that, a lot of the information that's been spoken on about us is a lower like lower base level, you know, we're just this, we're that, we're this. It's always a negative sense.
And our history usually starts with slavery.
So it's like, you know, how you bounce back from, you know, being like indoctrinated like that. Right. But Big Bro was just like, you know, reading something on Fred Hampton, a former Black Panther activist.
Fred Hampton. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So he was just like, after reading that, he was just like, you know, bro, I got to get away from these books because it's not really sharpening who I know myself to be as a man.
Yeah.
So he started more so looking in this 5%er knowledge, right? So I come from like Christianity, you know what I'm saying? I don't really subscribe to any religion now, but I do know all religions have something you could take from it,
Can you say that one more time?
All religions have something you could take from it.
They don't be trying to hear me.
Yeah.
I tell y'all that all the time. Y'all be judging King Q. I say, look, man, do what makes you feel good. But for me, I don't subscribe to a certain religion. And a big part of that is because I feel like there's truth in a lot of different religions. I'm not going to say all, but I feel like the grand majority, there's some level of truth in what everyone's doing. And if it's not, then you're basically saying that you're God's people, and if you're not prescribing to this church or this way of learning, then you're not of God, and you're not accepted. And so for me, that's what kind of drew me back from just seeing it. I'm like, okay, so if I don't go to church, and if I don't subscribe to praying this way or reading this way or living this, I'm just out. God don't care about me,
bro.
And so I'm just like, man, that ain't truth for me.
That's what honestly that's what pushed me away from my church experience, because like they used to teach us that, like, yo, if it ain't this, it's wrong.
It's wrong.
So I'm like, yo, how can I tell somebody? I have to get down to this. I'm like, how can I tell somebody who's lived in Saudi Arabia their whole life,
a cultural,
you know, they come to the States now.
Visuals.
You know, now I'm over here talking to them like, yo, you know, everything you've been
is wrong, right?
Yeah. How I tell them that? Who am I that I could tell somebody that? You know what I'm saying? So that's literally what got that veil off my eyes, like, yo, like, it's
dude,
not...
born and raised, a Buddhist monk.
Yeah.
Born and raised, every single person.
I'm telling my mans, like, yo, hey, you know you got it wrong, right?
You know, Buddha ain't God, right?
I know that's your family's faith.
You know, I said, come on.
Like,
hey, you know you ain't supposed to be praying like that, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Come on, bro.
So I'm just like,
but in the same breath, saying, don't judge others.
Yeah. It's a contradiction. It's a complete contradiction.
Gotcha.
So for me, I'm at a point now, too, where it's just like, yo, I'm not here to tell anybody anything about their life. I'm here for me, my foe, no more. If you want to know, then I'll inform you. But I'm not here to impose.
Facts.
Nah,
we're not doing that.
I can't do that. Yeah.
That was huge for me, bro. I'm so happy. I see, look, you know, John OJO. I got to let the people know, man, because I got to be real with the people. Look, John OJO, it's my first time sitting with the brother. First time really like having a conversation with the brother. And this brother was booked by my queen. Y'all know her very well. She gets shouted out damn near every damn episode. You got to understand who she is. Simone, you know what I'm saying? Exclusive Slay, CEO. You got to understand that it's purpose. But this is her homeboy, and she booked him. And when she booked you, I was kind of on the fence. You know, I'm like, this is the first guest, literally in my Line B visuals, this is the first guest that I've set across that I haven't booked based off one of my relationships. So I'm big on universal law. I'm big on alignment. I'm big on manifestation. And literally there was a point when you said just now, I don't subscribe to any religion and I allow people to do them. I felt like I was looking at myself in the mirror. Wow, you're the first guest to where I felt in that moment, oh, I'm speaking to me. Mm-hmm. And that's why I just allow things to be now. Without judgment, without pressing her and saying, I ain't booking no nigga that you know.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, I'm blocking a blessing because you move ego out the way. And this is a lesson for a lot of y'all. So many people miss out on blessings and they miss out on opportunities in life because their ego blocks any type of success, any type of progress. So that's a huge testament as well. I want to stay on this topic a little bit longer. Give me 5 more minutes with it. I was born and raised in a Jehovah's Witness household. Mm-hmm. I don't have nothing against Jehovah's Witnesses at all. I've always told my mother and my family, not always, but within these past 4 years of me doing what I'm doing, I just told them, look, I've made the decision to say, that's just not for me. Mm-hmm. That don't make it wrong. Like my brother is a baptized Jehovah's Witness, great family man. I see all of the instillments, how this works for you. I would never tell that man to stop doing that. Like, so I think a lot of people need to just understand, just because people are not practicing the way you do, don't make it wrong. Don't make it wrong. Like, and I feel like what started becoming suspect to me was this, and I think this is a conversation that needs to be had because now we're talking about things, bro, to keep it 100 that a lot of people want to talk about, but they're scared to talk about.
They don't know how to talk about it.
And so I think it's very important to question anything or any organization that says only get the answers from here.
Or this one particular person.
This one person, this one pastor. If you have problems, go to this pastor. If you have marital problems, go to this person. If you have anything going on with you, don't go to any other outside source. If you have questions about life, universal law, creation, don't ask anybody outside of this building. And if you do, it's wrong. I have to question that because now you have to even understand if you come from a Christianity background like I do as well, what's the reason? When I was growing up, bro, I didn't understand, okay, if God is the ruler of all things, and if he's controlling the narrative, and if he can see the future, why is he allowing Satan to run this world? Because when he got challenged in heaven, you got to understand, he's in front of a whole bunch of other angels getting challenged. So if God doesn't say, you know what? You think you can run the class, basically? So if I always look at it from a teacher and a student perspective, and you have that one student that's always talking in class, and it's like, all right, Charles, so you talking a whole lot, like you can run this class? Come on up here, come run them. Because if you don't let the kid go run the class that's being disobedient, all the other kids will question, well, why are you not letting him run the class? Is he smarter than you? Does he have a point? Like, he's challenging you in front of us. Is he right? Yep. So it's like, no, go ahead, do your thing. But it's like, that's my perspective on it. It's like, do you. Like, if that's what you believe in, bro, do you, but leave me alone.
Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. I'm accepting you. Yeah, that's what you do. Yeah. I don't want to go there. Bro, I've been to Muslim mosques. I've been to churches. I've been to a church before. And I'm able to comfortably say that without self-judgment now. Bro, 4 or 5 years ago? What? Yeah, I would have felt like, bro, I was dying. Yeah. Like, nigga, what? You about to die, bro. You went to a Muslim mosque with the Nation of Islam?
Like, your whole...
Like, what?
It's like, bro, like, I used to get told, like, you know, don't visit other churches. You may get a spirit on you.
Wow.
You know, don't listen to... Like, bro, I used to be so spooky to the point where it's like, you know, around the time I think I happened to run into the Lauryn Hill Unplugged she did on MTV years ago. And I remember praying to God, like, can I listen to this album?
Getting permission to see if you can listen to
You know what I'm saying, bro? Wow. Thinking so deep to the point where it's just like, if I listen to this album,
I'm going to hell.
Something's gonna happen to me.
Wow.
You know, like that's breeding fear. That's breeding, like, you know, there's this docu-series on Netflix called Explained, and they talk about cults and the origins of cults.
We're watching that.
Yeah, tap in. Also, Wild Wild Country.
Remember that one too, be visuals.
Like, with, they talk about this one cult that took place in Oregon. I can't think of the dude's name, Rajma something, but literally, dude,
New York?
Nah, Oregon. It took place in Oregon.
I just heard an ad today on Spotify about some story about some dude. Oh, it's a podcast on Spotify. Keep going. My bad.
But like, tap in Wild Country, Explained. Those two, bro.
Okay.
And it explains Explained is really good because it breaks down cults, bro. And it's just like I was in a whole cult, right? So it's just like once the blinders are off and then you get that information after the fact, it's like, damn, I was really in that. But if someone had tried to show me that while I was in it, I would have looked at them like, yo, you're coming straight from the devil.
Now, when you say you were in a cult, was it intentionally or was it like, damn, I found out I was in a cult?
I found out I was in a cult.
Now, what is a cult for people that don't know what it is?
And like, I would recommend anybody definitely get the definition yourself. I'm coming with my own, like layman's terms.
Yeah.
A cult, I feel personally from my own life experience, is any type of indoctrination that has you dependent on a person or a thing. And it gets you away from looking at self to actually do what it is you need to do for self. If you were to a point where everything you do, you need to run it by somebody else and you don't know how to figure out anything for yourself, you are truly dependent on a person or a thing.
How about a group of people?
Or a group of people. It's a cult could be Herbalife. Let's keep it real. Like a cult could be what's that, Pan America, life insurance shit.
Can a church be cult? Can a church be a cult?
I personally feel it can, yeah.
Because I've been, when I'm just speaking authentically, bro. Like for me, I'm so past like judgment. I don't give a fuck what nobody think about me, dog. I've always been one to believe that even the whole Kanye shit that's going on right now. It's rubbing me wrong, bro. It's rubbing me wrong.
That's all strategic.
That shit feels cultish to me. I don't care what nobody say. But it's like once you go to a church and you start praising your pastor or your leader more than God, to me that's like, yo, you tripping, bro. Like you see videos on YouTube and on Instagram where pastors going around slapping niggas up, throwing water on niggas, and it's like, damn, y'all give bro this much authority? Like, dude, that's a whole human being. And it's like, yo, you losing sight of what y'all even in here talking about. Like y'all like praising the pastor. Y'all praising this nigga like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. That's just me. I ain't apologize. Bro. But that's y'all praising this dude like he's Jesus.
Yeah, real spill.
You know what and he's here to deliver a word, but now, and I think that's an old head in Leimert Park, an old spiritual cat in front of the Barbara Morrison Center. I'll never forget it. I was throwing an event last July at the Barbara Morrison Theater, my event, patio poetry, and this old head was out there and he was talking to me and he stopped me and he said, man, you have a lot of ancestral energy over you, the way you walk, the way you speak, just your presence. You have a lot of ancestral energy around you. And I said, thank you, my dear brother. I appreciate that. And he said, so we started getting into a conversation. I told him what I was doing over there. I told him I'm a host, I'm a spoken word artist, I'm a speaker, the whole nine. And he said, I'll never forget his advice. Never get lost in the stage. Remember, you were given the stage in order to share a message to the people. But if people ever start praising you, then that's a problem. So don't lose yourself in the feedback that you get from the people, because it's very easy to do that, bro. When you on stage and constantly feeling like you the man, you can forget the message that you're giving to the people. You get addicted to the attention. You get addicted to the validation from other people, and you can lose sight of what you were even called to do. And I think same is true. We see stories all the time about pastors getting exposed for whether stealing money, having sexual relations. I don't know why people treat pastors like they can't fuck up. This is a whole dude with a dick. Like, bro, are you telling me this nigga don't get horny?
You know what's crazy, bro? And that's kind of
where... visuals. Don't laugh at me, bro. I'm just saying. Like, my job, John OJO, my job is to say things that people are afraid to say.
It's, and that's kind of like... to take it back to a Kanye, right?
Yeah.
I remember when Kanye was everything to me.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like high school, right? Like, yo, Ye, what?
Everybody loved Kanye.
Everybody loved Ye. And it's just like, once you get to a point where you humanize people and you see them for like as an actual human being.
That man is a human being.
Like, I'll drop a rapper right now. So like Benny the Butcher, you fuck with him?
I ain't never heard.
Oh, all right, so like Griselda Records.
Music. You gotta send me.
All right, I got you. But he got a bar where he's like, y'all dick ride and worship niggas like they bleed different. And it's like, that's for anything, bro. Like
that can go all spectrums.
Like these anybody. I don't care who it. Even if it's like a Jay-Z for me, like that's an ultimate businessman to me. But if I seen him in person, I'm not gonna like
geek out.
Like it's Jay-Z.
Praise, bro.
Yeah.
They want praise.
Like, I ain't gonna praise you, bro. If anything, I'm gonna hit you with the mad respect. Much respect. I see what it is you're doing. Because I'm like, who am I to not think that I can't? You know what I'm saying? Like, you not.
Why you any different?
Yeah. Who is you? And I feel like a lot of that comes from like, too, you know, immigrant parents. And also South Central energy, where it's just like, you got to size a person up. You got to see yourself as like, I'm just as better, if not better than you. You just are in a position that I'm gunning for. And everything that I've realized in life has shelf life. So anybody who's doing something where they may be the, you know, it factor for a moment, everything's got a shelf life. Think about like when Gucci Mane was the hottest rapper.
Yeah.
Look at him now. Or when Wayne was the hottest rapper. Certain clothing brands were just everything.
Yeah.
Everything's got shelf life. So it's like everybody has their moments. Everybody has their situations. I feel like I kind of went off.
No,
but nah, most def, like the whole Ye and the church situation, bro. Like, yo, people are people, man. And we are not here to worship anybody. We're not here to exalt anybody above the place of a human. Like, yo, you just got a work ethic that puts you in a certain place. You got a network of people that put you in a certain place.
That's facts, bro.
If I do those same things, if better,
I'll be right there. Yeah. If not exceed.
If not exceed.
And so that's so real, bro. I'm glad we was able to touch on that. We've never touched on nothing like that on Be Visuals. You talking about coach, you talking about like seeing people. And for me, I'm glad I was kind of able to get that out. I kind of feel a little lighter. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I've been waiting to like speak to somebody who's like-minded in that. And it's like, bro, I don't know. I be talking to my girl. Like, I don't know. Like, I ain't hating on bro. And I know it's not coming from a hateful space, but something ain't adding up to me. Like, he's too intelligent. He been telling us he a genius for how fucking long. Like, he has a whole audience of people. He understands a market.
Off top.
He's recognized a market of individuals that will literally give however much amount of money, anything, if you say Jesus is involved.
I've seen the people that like gravitate towards what Ye is doing.
Yeah.
And it's funny, right? I've been like at a point now too where it's just like, yo, I've realized like, okay, the man you are, bro, there's people who come from your same background who couldn't even grasp what type of consciousness you're on.
Yeah.
It's threatening. It's like, it's unfamiliar.
It's
like they don't, I can't think like that. That's not how I think. So it's like, yo, like a person who would gravitate towards what Kanye is doing right now, that's a person who needs direction. That's a person who longs for someone to tell them what to do or what's in. And since he's a person of influence, it's even easier for the people who don't have a sense of direction of self to just tap into that. It's the same way for me, prior to me coming into knowledge of self, that I was able to just be in a cult. You know what I'm saying? Not willingly, but just like, you know.
Just you in it.
Yeah, just in it.
They got you.
Yeah, they got me. So it's like, it's not up until you break that chain and you really get conscious, self-aware, present, and you realize like, yo, I govern me.
Yeah.
Not anything outside of me. I govern me. Self-control taps in with self. Like, if you tap in with self, you govern self.
There we go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
for sure. I wanna touch on something. Just came up to my mind. I gotta follow it. Entrepreneurship. I think we're in the age of it to where it's culturally cool.
Yeah, it is.
And people don't talk enough about what comes with that. For me, I just pride myself, bro, to be honest. I don't even like giving myself no titles, to be completely honest with you. I don't even like kind of calling myself an entrepreneur. I'm just a dude that's saying yes. I'm gonna say that one more time for people that's not grasping that. What's the difference? So people always ask me, people always tell me, King Q, you doing your thing. I see you over here, BV, you know what I'm saying, podcast, and you performing, you traveling, you getting doing. What's the secret? What you doing? Give me some insight. Bro, I'm just saying yes. I'm literally saying yes to my intuition. Every single thing that this intuition says gets a yes.
Yeah.
And whether I'll fuck up along the way, that's a part of the reason I was supposed to say yes. There's lessons in the fuck ups. So the difference between me and you and people like us that are saying yes to our purpose is that we're not afraid of the failure that's attached to the yes. Yeah. And there's so many people, bro, that's so scared of being let down or letting down other people in their family or not standing up to the expectations of themselves. A lot of us, and I've been guilty of it for a long time, and having just very high expectations for myself. You know what I mean? But I say that to say, I want to talk about what's under the surface in regards to entrepreneurship. Talk to me about we talked about some losses, but I want to talk about talk to me a little bit about investment, right? So you're in the clothing industry. How important is it to invest and put up your own money in starting off a company opposed to, let me ask you another question. Thank you, God. Intuition, right there, baby. You see what I'm talking
yeah,
about? He just dropped me one. So here we go. So look, the visuals, you got to understand it. He said, ask, how important is it for you to allow yourself to learn things on your own along your journey, opposed to always reaching out to other people for advice or guidance before you just jump into it yourself and learn along the way? Talk to me about the differentiations between those two things, if that's a word, and if it's not, who gives a shit? But John OJO, you understand the question?
I get exactly
Talk to me about that.
Yo. So like, yo, check it. If I'm constantly like going towards somebody else to get insight in regards to something that, if it dropped in me first, then let me go with me first. Like, I don't need to necessarily. One thing I do, I'll keep it real. One thing I do, like, if I do have something drop in me, then I'll be sure to tap in with the people's whose opinions I validate. I actually value.
I value, yes.
You know what I'm saying? Right, like, I'm not here to just ask anybody. So if I got a homie, like, let's say, like, yo, something dropped in me, and then I talk to you about it, and you give me some sort of confirmation that lines up with what I've already been.
That's literally what I do.
I'm like, exactly, all right, I was already thinking that.
Yeah,
so,
I just need to
you
hear
know,
that
I'm like, I just need to hear the confirmation. That's it. But if I'm constantly coming to you like, yo, bro, how should I do this?
Or how did you do it? Tell me how you did it.
So should I do it? Like, no, yo, like, you gotta put yourself in a position to sink or swim, because honestly, when you don't have any help around you, that's when you really have to tap into a certain part of your mind to figure your own shit out.
Yes,
yo.
sir. Yes, sir.
Like, let's keep it real. Like, I'm living month to month right now, no steady paycheck, but I'm figuring it out
along the way.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And it's not to say I'm gonna be in this position for the rest of my life. It's a transitional period. You have to trust the transition just to get to the foundation.
That's right.
You're going from bank to, you're going from platform to platform. Life is literally about stages. Like, I literally just sat down and thought about this, like 10 years ago, I was 19 years old. How do you get from 19 to 29? That means you got to live life one day at a time. You have no choice but to live life a day at a time. If you literally sit down, I don't know what tomorrow is, but one thing I do know about tomorrow, I'll be present tomorrow. I won't be thinking about.
You'll be present in tomorrow. I am here right now.
I'm not thinking about yesterday. I'm not thinking about my future. I'm present now because I have to live this day just to get to the next day.
Yes, sir.
And it's the same thing in regards to, like, yo, if I'm constantly going to somebody else to get, yo, how should I handle this? How are you really trusting self?
You're not trusting your intuition.
You know what I'm saying? You're literally relying on someone else to figure some shit out for you. And it's like, one thing Pops told me, never put yourself in a position where you're dependent
on other people. Because then it's very easy to point the finger and say, hey,
yo,
but you told me
why it didn't work.
Why is it working for you, but it's not working for me?
So it's like, yo, I'm not you, you not me. And like my grind can't look like yours. Your come up can't look like mine.
You better talk about it.
Yeah, like we're all individuals. Like we are all unique, and we all have our own uniqueness about us that we have to hone, tap into, and really bring out and foster. So it's like,
and quite frankly, I don't want my journey to look like yours.
Exactly. I need my grind to be a little different. Quite
frankly, there's some things, there's some failures I need to go through. And
yo.
I know I need to go
some
through.
Some uncertainties I need to go through.
So guess what? I'm about to just jump. I love the ideology of sink or swim. That is my mindset to the motherfucking core.
Yeah.
If I sink, it ain't gonna be for long.
Nah, real spill. It's just like,
you're gonna learn how to swim in that process.
It's a temporary transition for me to get my shit together.
That's real.
That's all. It's like, yo, like, and I'll praise Nip any time of the day, but it's just like, one thing that man said before his demise was like, yo, like, I felt every emotion for what I'm doing.
That's right.
Like, if you're not feeling every emotion of what you're going through,
what you doing?
What you doing, yo? Like, none of this shit is sweet. Life ain't sweet.
You want the answers to everything?
Yeah, like, it can't. Like, for people, you ever think about people who go to, like, not scientists, psychics and shit?
Yeah. I want to know what my life gonna look like.
Why?
You trying to fuck it all up?
Yeah, like, just go with the, like, everything's gonna figure itself out. Why you need to feel like you need to jump?
Am I supposed to be with this person for the rest of my life?
Like, nah, just go through the course, figure it out.
Yeah.
And boom, like, like, life ain't meant to be a book.
That's real. You wouldn't have learned anything in school if you would have had that approach. Imagine if I remember just helping my daughter with homework, and I've taught her from a very, very early age. If you ever try to cheat and do something that I've told you not to do in regards to trying to figure out an equation or an answer, like try to sneak a calculator or try to cheat on the person. This is coming from someone who cheated throughout all of school.
Tell me about it.
Can we keep it 100?
Yo.
You talk about barely graduating.
Yo.
You're looking at a man right here that's fully in his purpose, a master communicator and connector, and didn't even graduate high school.
Yeah.
So for me, my value does not lie in a piece of fucking paper.
Nah.
You put me in a room with anybody who got paper, and we going at it.
Talk.
And you would never,
Factual.
ever know that your main man, King Q, didn't even finish high school, right? And so for me, it's very important to understand if you're trying to cheat the process, because there's a lot of people who've convinced themselves that way of getting to the top is feasible.
Yeah.
Like every idea that comes to me, I have to go find mentorship in it in order for me to actually put action behind my intuition. And so for me, it's like, no, stop running from that. Allow yourself, like my main man John just said, to go through your process and to go through every emotion. When I was homeless, big dog, that was something that I knew I needed. Bro, that was medicine for me. I'm going to say that one more time. Me being homeless was needed because every single day I was present in my experience. And I knew that, okay, there's no way that I feel this powerful and this called to do work of service for other people without having a testimony to share to them. So if I run from my homelessness and I stay comfortable where I was at, because I did that intentionally, bro. I was in a 2-bedroom townhouse living by myself, living straight and spacious, living bachelor, single man life. And for me, I knew that wasn't the type of life I wanted in 5 years, in 10 years. So let me start that process now. I'm not working for no organization that's not in alignment with my purpose. If it's not within services and servicing other people from the space that I'm looking to service people in, I'm not doing it. I'm done just having a nice car and paying a high ass car note just to look cool. I'm tired of acting like I got it all together, but I'm not putting in no self-work. I'm not taking no risks in my life. I'm constantly scared. I'm constantly asking for guidance. And so for me, I was tired of that. So I intentionally quit my job and went through that process knowing I was going to be homeless, right? And so during that process, bro, I just embraced it. I knew that was needed. So all these visions that I have in my mind and seeing these crowds and these stadiums and seeing me being able to touch people and hold seminars and summits, right? All around the world, bro, I have these visions and I've had them for years. The moment I started to trust those visions, it started to take me to depths that I didn't even know was possible for me to get through. I'm talking about depths and alleyways that you would look that I would have looked at that point in my life and said, there's no fucking way I'm going down there. But I wasn't trusting. So once you surrender to your calling, once you surrender to your purpose, then you're able to actually have those experiences. Nip wouldn't have been able to feel every emotion if at some point in his life he didn't decide to submit and surrender to the fear and just say, fuck it, I'm scared, but I'm going anyway. You know what I'm scared as fuck, but I'm going anyway. And if I fall, I'm not going to die. People be acting like they going to die if they fail. Like, you ain't going to die.
A lot of people don't want to deal with the ridicule of knowing that they, you know, because a lot of, like, you know, one thing I had to learn too in regards to what I'm doing is actually keeping my mouth shut and doing the work.
That's right. Let your work speak for you.
I used to talk before I did some
I'm about
shit.
to do this.
Yeah.
I'm about to. Ain't doing that.
You never do it.
Ain't got to do that.
You never
do it.
You never do it.
That's why I say keep the moves quiet.
Yeah, keep it quiet, yo. Stack up on the low. Do whatever it is you need to for yourself. Like,
it's for you.
Social media has definitely gotten to a point where we feel like we need to include people on our day-to-day lives. And it's like, yo, you are still an individual. You could be that individual in your own life. Like, yo, like the reality is people in this room, but we're all living our own experiences in this one world.
Yes, sir.
So it's just like you still are an individual in this one world. Be sure to know who you are. Like, that's the crucial aspect of all of this. Like, self-awareness is like...
Absolutely. It's everything.
Yeah, it's everything.
How important is it for black men to put work in on themselves inside out?
So it's crazy, right? Man, I always butcher her name. What is it, like? Iyanla Vanzant, like Iyanla Vanzant, the Fix My Life lady.
Oh yeah. She crazy. She wild.
Yo,
I fuck with her.
She got this book called The Spirit of a Man, and I'm reading that right now. Yo, it's actually really good, bro, because it's from a black woman addressed to black men, and it was written in like '96 or whatever like that. So you think about, like, we're in 2019. How did black men think in '96? Wow. It wasn't even as progressive as it is now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like a lot of the game and information she's putting in there. It's just honestly teaching us how to forgive self.
There we go.
You know, we make mistakes as men. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody makes mistakes, but a lot of times men aren't cognizant of the mistakes they make. And even if they are, they don't know how to forgive themselves for the things that they've done. They don't know how to see behavior that they've seen as a child, maybe through an uncle or father, and not incorporate that into their own personal lives. You know, like seeing bad behavior, recognizing it for what it is, and not being that stereotypical, quote unquote, black dude, nigga, however you want to spin it. So it's like, for me, the self-work is very important. Like, realizing that I'm accountable for me. Any mistakes that I have is on me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to place blame on anybody else. I'm here to be present with who I am and address me. Like, it starts with me. You know, my mom used to say growing up, like, you can't love me if you don't love yourself.
That's right.
So it's like, if you're not tapping in with self, you here for everybody. Yeah. Like, you know, anybody can have they little, like, you know, anybody could get you.
That's real.
You know, get you up under their skin, however you want to say it.
I'm huge on that, bro. I'm huge on the self-work. I think it's needed, especially for people like us that's in the service business. So whether you servicing people through clothes, a message, verbally, YouTubing, podcasting, singing, dancing, acting, you're in the service business. You're doing what you do in order to make other people feel empowered or inspired or motivated. And so I'm huge on, like, yo, bro, I got work to do on myself, and I got a lot of work.
It's a lifetime thing.
It's like, bro, you got to understand when to pull away from the work of others in order to work on yourself. And so I say that to say, if it's anybody out there that's listening to this podcast, prioritize you. A lot of y'all are prioritizing people in your service of others, which is great. Servicing other people is a way of fulfillment. I get it. But you have to be able to give yourself that same energy that you're giving your company or your job or school or work. You have to be able to give yourself that same amount of attention, that same amount of love, that same amount of energy. And if you don't, you'll find that your well oftentimes runs dry. And so for me, I'm huge on that, bro. These last 5 days have been absolutely phenomenal, to where I completely, like, bro, on day 3 of the work we was doing, I'm like, fuck it, I'm about to just delete Instagram. Like, I don't even want to be connected. You know what I'm saying?
I'm at that point now, dog. I've been deleting the app off and on from my phone.
Yes, sir.
Bro. But it's like, it sucks because a part of us, for what we do, we need it. You know what I'm saying? It's so annoying, bro. There's this one dude who, his name is Emery, but he has this thing called No Vacancy In, for the folks who know about it. But he was on a podcast and he was saying, like, yo, my retirement plan is deleting my Instagram. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, yo, I'm taking that and running with it. Yo, like, the moment I know I've arrived is when I ain't gotta tap into social, bro.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's literally my 4 and no more. The people who I want to have constant communication with and whatnot, I'm tapping with them. And if you got my number, you got my number. But like,
if not,
I'm living life presently.
Yeah,
I'm conscious. Like, I'm in the day.
I'm in it.
Like, for real.
I love it. Before we leave, I want you to kind of talk about what your goals are for 2020. And I'm not talking about from a New Year's resolution standpoint, because I'm one to not believe in those. I don't believe in New Year's resolutions at all. And I'll tell you why real briefly. Why am I setting out an intention on what to do or how to work or what to work towards, and I'm not going to implement that for another 2 months because it's January 1st when I can do it today? And so I'm asking you from a perspective of goals. You seem like somebody who's a visionary, somebody who has a game plan. Obviously, you 1 year into the brand, you've seen progress within the last 12 months. Where do you see the brand being within the next 12 months?
So for me, next year, I definitely want to focus on more of a tangible experience where, you know, I can have pop-ups, but also making sure that I'm doing my best to really tell a story through the pop-up too.
Love it.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the era of, like, the internet is the internet that I grew up with in regards to, like, blogs and whatnot like that. Like, before podcasts, people had blogs where, you know, you were a personality on the site, you posted the content you liked, people could tap in with it, but there wasn't ever really a tangible experience. I feel like with brands now, since there's so many, like, young entrepreneur up-and-coming brands, people, if they gravitate to your product, they want to gravitate towards you next. They want to have that tangible experience where they actually meet you face to face, feel your energy, so forth, so on. So for me, more releases, but through pop-up installations. I definitely want to actually have more collaborative efforts with homies who have brands in the States, outside the States, and bring a pop-up installation there, build with the people.
Understood.
Just honestly hit the ground running at this point, because a lot of what you can't just bank on the internet. You just can't bank on, your
it
website.
Can crash tomorrow.
You feel me?
A lot of people who just relying on it will be
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So it's just like I'm really trying to build towards the longevity aspect of what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, look, man, John OJO, it's been an absolute pleasure,
bro.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
I think we covered every ground that we wanted to. I think we went into some depths that was interesting, some depths that we have not went into yet on this podcast. I want to shout out my queen again for booking you. Queen Simone. Y'all got to understand the power in having somebody a part of your mission and a part of your journey that's in alignment. A lot of y'all out there are in relationships that y'all know damn well y'all ain't supposed to be in, but y'all sacrificing your purpose in order to feel loved. When no, sir, I've told myself that I will not be in a relationship with anyone who's not in alignment with my purpose. So now her purpose is in alignment with my purpose, and now we mesh and grow together. I'll just have to throw that out there, John OJO. But what I'm saying is this: we always like to end off every episode of the Unselfish Behavior Podcast with what we call an unselfish message, to where the guest gets an opportunity to look at this camera right here and end off with an unselfish message from John OJO, which basically is an ending message that you would like the people to remember, whether about your brand, whether about the interview, or what have you. What is John OJO's unselfish message?
I would definitely say my unselfish message deals with self. Like, people, tap in with yourself, yo. Spend time with you. Make sure you are aware of every feeling and emotion and thought that's racing through your head, and deal with that. If you got resentment towards a previous relationship that ended wrongly, family trauma, whatever the situation is, self-love, like self-care is very important. Make sure you put into yourself and build a work ethic, yo. Like, if you got something that you're trying to figure out and actually fund or, get off the ground, put that time into it. One thing my big sister always told me is, all you got to do is start. Anybody you admire, they started and they just kept it from there. So it's just like, put that time in, put that effort in, figure it out. If you want it, get it. It's like, honestly, there is no excuse. You're your biggest excuse. So make sure you don't make yourself your biggest excuse, and stay lovely. Shit.
And that's a wrap. John OJO, it's been an absolute pleasure, brother, full of wisdom. I give you nothing but love and light along your journey. And I guarantee you this won't be the last time me and you connect on whatever level it's going to happen. But we're going to connect. You a damn good brother. And I love everything that you're doing and everything that you stand for. We don't end no episodes without shouting out my main man, my business partner, my guy. He's the one that made this possible. That is the one and only Be Visuals. Wow. You ain't got nothing without a team. What do you really have? This ain't the fucking King Q show. I know a lot of y'all think it is, but it's not. I got a team. Be Visuals behind the camera. This man right here is an absolute visionary. We always got to shout out Be Visuals. Listen, and the Queen Simone, she behind the scenes, a part of the executive producing team. We got Charlie in the building today. She done fell asleep on us, but that's neither here nor there. John OJO, one more time. Unselfish Behavior Podcast. We just getting started, and we out.